Africa is a continent of incredible variety, a continent shaped by weather patterns and the availability of water. Life is where water is. The cradle of civilization has always been along Africa's rivers, lakes and oases. But with increasing population, these are now hotspots in a changing environment. Satellite technology now makes it possible to observe and record that change in close to real time, allowing us to chart changes we would not have been able to see 10 or 20 years ago. These observations are crucial in decisions that impact the livelihoods of communities whose development and well-being hinges on water. The Africa Water Atlas brings together a compelling visual analysis of water resources in Africa and the challenges the continent faces through a wealth of Earth observation science focused on the continent's water resources, consolidated in one volume. This video looks at the often two-sided nature of water issues in Africa, scarcity and surplus, both in the geographic context of Google Earth and individual accounts by people across Africa.
Nowhere else is the importance of water more apparent than in the semi-arid communities, such as in Mauritania, where arable land is slowly being buried by the creeping deserts. Here, life has been reduced to a little more than an endless search for water.
ورقاد معك مخل تجهر شرح السيان ولا كيف جس وتجبر ما شوي ودرجاج واحد ما يجبرش.
Not only must they search for their own drinking water, but for their animals as well.
Environmental changes taking place across Africa directly affect people's lives. Degradation of the Mau forest in Kenya has affected the flow of numerous rivers originating from this forest, directly affecting the livelihoods of more than 7 million people. Rivers from the Mau complex support agriculture, hydropower, urban water supply, tourism, and rural livelihood throughout much of Kenya. The Mara River, which is a lifeline for Kenya's most famous tourist destination, the Masai Mara National Reserve, originates from the Mau.
In West Africa, Lake Chad was once the 6th largest lake in the world. But persistent droughts and the increased diversion of water for irrigation have reduced it to roughly 1/10 its size 40 years ago. Satellite images show the dramatic change from the 1970s to the mid and late 1980s, as much of the lake dried up. In recent years, rains have brought back some recovery to Lake Chad, but its significantly reduced surface area continues to challenge the livelihoods of local people.
Water resources in Africa are unevenly distributed, with some areas experiencing acute shortages, while other areas are huge beacons of hope as sources of water for the region. This disparity requires strategic thinking by political leadership in water governance to ensure fair distribution across borders. Africa is home to the second largest freshwater lake in the world, Lake Victoria, and the second deepest, Lake Tanganyika. It also has the world's largest fossil water aquifer system, the Nubian sandstone. The Congo River, with a discharge of 40,000 cubic meters per second, has a volume that equates 32% of the continent's total renewable resources. It is the deepest river in the world, with some points at 200 meters deep. Development of the basin's vast potential will require effective transboundary cooperation.
In Senegal, Michel Bemba's life has been made difficult by frequent droughts.
Bon, li ñu doon jàkkonte mooy dafa am période boo xam ne dafa fekk muy nekk période l'hivernage.
But Michel is learning to adapt to his new environment with limited water resources. He's at a farming school today where he's learning a new drip irrigation technique which could save his future crops. Water is stored in tanks and then released through pipes directly onto the plant. Agronomists believe that drip irrigation is twice as efficient in the use of water than normal methods of irrigation.
Ci nawet bi bon mënoon nga ne dañuy xaar mu taw mais fii heure bu la neexee mu taw parce que heure boo xam ne ubbi nga machine bi yow sa tool tooy na.
It is UNEP's mission to bring such observations and science to the attention of policymakers and the public. UNEP and our partners hope the new Africa Water Atlas will be an invaluable resource for scientists, governments, NGOs and the people of Africa to develop sustainable water management strategies to help guarantee a better future for all.